You are so quiet. Are you already asleep? The midday nap. Okay. You can just continue. I'm just going to speak for 45 minutes or so, and then you can have your nap. If that's all right. Yeah, good. So I want to be on time, so that means 2, 1. Now we start. All right. So if you want to have a nap, you're definitely in the right room, if you can shut down your hearing aids. But hopefully you'll get some insights into a way of protecting your FileMaker server that goes outside of the server domain itself. So first of all, I should present myself. I'm Claus Lavendt. I come from Denmark. I've been developing FileMaker solutions for a couple of years, and I've been doing sessions in several places, so maybe some of you have seen me before. I got some specific instructions that I should present myself, introduce myself, but I shouldn't overdo it. I don't know why. The next 30 slides is all about me. Is that okay? Yeah, no. So let's get into what I'm going to talk about. And this is about network attacks, where that is kind of outside of the normal FileMaker solution and FileMaker server security stuff that we've been talking about for many times before. If you're interested, I have done a couple of sessions that you can find on YouTube. I know Wim has done some as well. But this is different. This is about network attacks, DDoS attacks, bots and AI bots, and then I'm going to present a solution to mitigate the risk that arise from these attacks, right? So bad guys is everywhere. It's not only if you have been managing to piss off the North Korean president or dictator or the Russian one, that you are a target now. Everyone is, because it's everywhere and it's happening every single day. So I found some stats about how big is this problem, right? And note, I say the source is the internet, right? It's a great source. And it's just to say that whenever you try to get some figures on how big is this problem and who's getting hit by cybersecurity attacks, it's very difficult to get some solid numbers for many reasons, of course. One, a lot of them is never reported anywhere, so because it's not that fun to report, yeah, hey, I also got hit, right? But it happens a lot, and up to a third of small businesses were hit last year. So small businesses, how many of you are working with small and medium businesses, right? Kind of everyone, right? So this is really important to us, right? I found a number mentioned that the average cost was $4.24 million. Kind of a lot, right? Is this true, or, well, I don't know, but it's really costly if you get hit, right? So it has severe consequences. 42% of the breaches stole some personal data. Oh, what happened now? I blacked out. I found the blackout button. Never seen that before. Okay. And then finally, a lot of them is caused by insiders. Not saying that they did it, but it was caused by them, right? So this is really, really important stuff. to think about. Okay, so I just want to spell out what this is not about. I'm not going to dig into standard security like firewalls and on your machine or internet connection. It's not about securing the FileMaker server using the tools that we have on FileMaker server or securing your FileMaker solution. As said before, I've done sessions about this in the past. You can find them on the internet if you want to dig in and learn more. But this session is not really about that. So, let's dig in to what this really is about. Okay, am I speaking too fast, or everyone is following along? Yeah. Okay. Good. So, let's focus on DDoS attack. What is it really? DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Service Attacks. Most of you probably already knew, but just in case that someone doesn't really know what the DDoS attack is, it's a massive amount of requests that comes from millions of computers, could be, that are infected on the internet, and they are simply flooding your server and connection with requests that it cannot handle, and then it breaks down. This is something we don't want. And why do we even care? Because DDoS attacks is not hard. It's not difficult. And all you have to do is really get some code and infect and create a big botnet. And it's really cheap. And it's easy to do, right? And if you're a not do-it-yourself type, that want to go and get some code, buy some code, and infect a lot of computers, you can even order an attack, just like you order a pizza. And I've seen prices as low as $5. $5 is all it takes to order an attack on someone's service, meaning that all it takes is just one person who is angry with your company or your customer's company to order an attack for $5. This is scary, I think, right? Or even, I don't even think you can buy a pizza for $5, right? It's even more expensive to buy a pizza, but it's just as easy. And this is really, really scary because it means that you don't even have to be an interesting target. All it takes is just one person who's angry with you and has a bad intent, and so easy to do, right? And it's difficult to track who was actually behind this, right? So it's easy to order and it's easy to get away with. And it can happen anytime to anyone. So that's why we should really try to find a plan to mitigate this risk that we have. Not only that, that's the DDoS attack, where it's typically websites that get hit by DDoS attack because it's very visual. Now your public website is down because the server got flooded, right? But what happens if our FileMaker system are flooded with requests? Then it's not working. And most of the FileMaker solutions we're building is business critical. It runs businesses, right? So if it doesn't work, that's really bad, okay? So not only that, but there are a lot of other network attacks that is very common. There are several kind of bots out there, or robots, or whatever name you want to put on, that are actively trying to probe your server for files or endpoints or whatever they can find where we know there is a known what's the word? Vulnerability. Thank you. There's also a lot of stuff going on with trying to use leaked credentials. I don't think a week goes by where you don't hear about yet another breach of credentials out there. There are millions of leaked credentials. Something called SSL exhaustion floods, where they are basically trying to hammer the SSL pipe in order to try to get in there. That happens, and also something called SSL negotiation attacks. The reason I'm not digging into these particular things is that we should know they are there. We don't even need to know all the mechanics of that, because we are busy building FileMaker solutions, and now we are busy learning AI tools as well. So we already have our plate full, right? So another thing is the bots. There are the good bots and the bad bots. I guess you could call it. The good bots are like the search engine bots that are crawling the website. Not so much the FileMaker server, because we don't want them there. So we would like actually to get rid of them on our FileMaker servers. But those are the good bots that is trying to index your websites in order for people to be able to find it easier. But now we also have the AI bots. So the search bots are mostly okay, right? And then we have these bad bots or really bad bots that is looking for known security issues or vulnerabilities. And then the AI bots are at least in my opinion, are some of the worst trash out there. They suck up your entire website, not only indexing, but sucks everything up and lets you pay for the traffic, right? I read a story about a guy who was running a website for, I actually forgot what the topic was, but he was doing that in his spare time. And he has been having this website for many years, like a blog site. And suddenly he got traffic bills from his hosting company for tens of thousands of dollars. And he was, what? How did my site get so popular that I get this extremely large bill? And then when they dig into it, they found out that it was several AI bots that were simply sucking up all the content of his website and left him with the bill. So not only did they steal everything he had, but they also left him with an invoice for the traffic. It's just like, yeah, kind of the worst ones, right? So we have several things that is around the perimeter of our FileMaker servers and systems, the network layer around. And they all have a security risk or that we need to find a way to mitigate. So how can we do that? One way, not too fast? Are you still asleep? Mm? Good, I'll continue. Yes?
You talk about this bad company who was asking you to pay for the traffic, but I can't comprehend how this works. Was it just the network traffic, or did they put something else why it became so expensive?
Yeah, no, it was, okay, so, yes. Yeah, so the question was, you didn't understand the story that I just told about the guy who had a big website, a blog site basically, and the AI bots came in and sucked up all the data on his website. For that bot, huh?
I hope it wasn't clarified.
Huh?
You know Peter Wagmans?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was not one of ours. It was outside. The reason is that when you have traffic going out, if there's a huge amount of traffic, that is going out that the hosting company serves out of your web server. There in this case, and in many cases, you have to pay for traffic, right? And the AI bot apparently was taking so much data out of his website that he got an extra bill for the traffic. So that was the case there, and that became extremely expensive. Okay. So a way we can mitigate this risk is by putting in a proxy service, and I'm going to show a way of using Cloudflare, which is a big company, and I have no association with Cloudflare whatsoever. So even though this sounds like I'm really rooting for Cloudflare, I'm not receiving anything, and what I'm showing is something you can get on the free plan. So you don't even have to pay money for it. What did it do? Okay. There is a feature on the FileMaker platform that we are going to use and combine that with the Cloudflare, and that can protect and mitigate this risk. So the things that are required is that we need to enable HTTPS tunneling. It's a fairly new feature on the platform. Now it is on both Linux, Mac, and Windows, and also on the clients. So we are going to enable that on the server, and then you have to enable that on the, or switch or configure FileMaker Pro and Go to use the tunneling feature as well. Then we get a free Cloudflare account, and you need to buy a domain or move your domain to their DNS service, and this is required. So if you don't want to move a domain there, you can buy a new one. Most of our FileMaker servers doesn't have to be on a specific domain, so that's why you can actually buy a new domain and use it there. There's a few configurations to do on Cloudflare, and then I highly suggest that you read on some of the extra features that Cloudflare provides as well, for some of them for money, some of them for free, or not free, without money, I should say, right? So the way this works is that the client uses port 443, which is the HTTPS port. Then we can eliminate port 5003 as well, so we have an attack vector less. It proxies through Cloudflare and then to our server. So all the traffic goes through Cloudflare. That's kind of the premise about how to use this. The big thing here is that your IP address of your server is not exposed, because when you enable this service, this proxy service, your domain name gets an IP address, or actually 2 or maybe 3, inside the Cloudflare network. And then your clients go into the Cloudflare network, gets routed, and goes to your server. So since it's going there, Cloudflare is protecting your server from DDoS attacks and other network layer attacks. And the reason I didn't want to dig into what are these different network layer attacks and all the specifics, and even when you're talking about DDoS attacks, there are like a wide range of different types that is going on there, is because these guys, they know all about network layer. That's pretty much all they do. So they are taking care of doing the protection. And on the free plan, there is a lot of protection already. And then you can buy more, of course. Of course you can buy more and better protection. But even the free plan has a lot of protection here. And also, if you're teaming up with these guys and you are gonna experience an attack, you can call them. So you have someone who actually knows what they are talking about. Maybe there is, of course, other companies you can call, but this should be a part of your continuity plan. Who am I gonna call when shit burns? And why should we use Cloudflare? I mean, they own the IP address 1111. Who owns that if they are not something, right? They have data centers in 330 cities, the last time I checked, in 125 countries, meaning they are pretty big and pretty much all over, and has one of the largest networks in the world. Which really matters when you have to route this stuff. They have a 405 terabits per second network, which is like, how much is that even? It's a lot. And that was the last time I checked. The previous time I checked, it was like 380 or something like that. So apparently they are growing every month. And their network is capable of coping with much, much greater than the biggest DDoS attack that has ever been recorded. Not saying that they could not get problems, but they are big enough to handle and mitigate big attacks like that. Which is nice, because my server is not big enough to handle very big DDoS attacks. And like I said, the free account offers a lot of protection automatically, right? Okay, you still sleeping? That's nice, so nice. Okay, I'm just gonna talk to myself then. The first thing is we need to install the FileMaker Server. But like I said, I'm not gonna talk about that. That's for a different session. We need to enable the HTTPS tunneling on the server, create a free Cloudflare account, buy or transfer a DNS setup, buy a domain or transfer DNS setup for a domain onto Cloudflare, configure the DNS record with proxy. Then we need to enable something called WebSockets. And this is how FileMaker is handling using the HTTPS tunneling feature. So FileMaker is a client-server application where the client and the server needs to speak to each other all the time. So there needs to be an open connection between the client and the server. It's not like hitting a website where you do a request and you get a result and then pipes are closed, right? So there is a technology called WebSockets. There's actually a couple of different technologies that allows for an open pipe or an open connection, and FileMaker is using WebSockets for that, and you need to enable that in the Cloudflare setup. And then we need to configure the FileMaker Pro and Go clients to be able to use the HTTPS tunneling. Hopefully in the future it will just automatically be able to, if not 5003 is working, then it's trying on 443. But currently you need to do that manually. And then connect to your server, and finally consider using other Cloudflare features. It could be like geo restrictions. I think most of us in the room don't have clients that needs to connect from North Korea, maybe not even Russia, or so. That is a feature where we can ask Cloudflare to lock down geographic areas. So not that much. 1, 2, 4, 6, okay, 8 steps. Okay, are you ready? Because now it's complicated. There's a toggle here in the FileMaker Server admin console. Push that. That's a hard step, right? FileMaker admin console, configuration, and FileMaker clients. Enable that one. Then we are actually done with the server. Well, you need to restart the FileMaker Server after you've done so, right? But other than that, we are done. Now we are going into Cloudflare, creating a free account. It takes like 1 minute, 2 minutes-ish, that's it. And after you've done so, you can buy a domain, or you can do a transfer and follow along. If you have ever transferred a domain from one DNS provider to another, kind of the same thing. There's a few steps involved, but it's pretty simple. As soon as you have your DNS, your domain name, onto their DNS service, you see something like this, where you create some A records, which is normally what we are using. So like this one, I created the prox for proxy, and then there's a switch turning on the proxy. As soon as this orange cloud is on, your subdomain name is proxied, meaning that now whenever you're looking up the IP address of this domain, subdomain, you will get an IP address that is inside the Cloudflare network. And of course you have provided here the real IP address of your server. Okay? Really hard. Yeah? Then on the network, there is a section called WebSockets. Enable. That was hard as well, right? Almost a full cup of coffee. HTTPS tunneling in FileMaker Pro. HTTPS tunneling in FileMaker Go. You need to restart the client app. And now we can relax on the beach, right? That's it. That's really what is into it. Does it look hard? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Any questions so far? Yeah, maybe we should, where was the? Oh, you have it? Yeah.
The fact that all the traffic is going through the Cloudflare network could affect the performance of our solutions?
Yeah, you would think so, right? I'm going to get to that. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. So in a minute, I will talk about that. Okay. Yeah? Yeah. You also had a...
If you put on the tunneling on the client side and you have several servers which is partly by proxy and partly direct, would it work or would it mix up everything?
So the question is that if you have several servers where some is doing tunneling and some is not, yeah, then you have to do what we also do, because we are a consulting company, so we have a mix and match. So I have to switch on and off this tunneling feature and restart my FileMaker application. That's what is in it, and that's why I said hopefully in the future it will not be needed to turn on and off this feature in the client side. I have requested that from Claris, but I don't know why they are so slow putting out my request. No. Maybe it's gonna come, okay? Was a guy there?
If you turn on the HTTP tunneling, does it impact the performance a lot, even
I'm gonna get to that.
without using Cloudflare?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's kind of Q&A in the middle of everything, but yeah.
I know that the admin console does allow to restrict IP addresses to.
Yeah.
Is it true for the server? I don't remember. I don't know.
Yeah, for the server.
Just for admin?
No, not the server itself. It's something you have to apply on the firewall or outside of FileMaker.
Okay,
Yeah.
the firewall.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah. Yeah, he said it's there for the admin console, but not for the server connection itself, right?
Is it the same for the API REST endpoint in FileMaker? You probably have to secure that as well, right? If you have traffic going from...
But, no, yeah, you get that for free.
Oh, right.
For meaning that if this is the domain name for your API endpoints, like OData, Data API, it's proxied, meaning that everything goes through here. So, yes, it's already included. If you use another subdomain that points to the same server, it's kind of the same, as long as you turn on this feature, proxied. And if you have, like this one, which is kind of stupid, I wanted to hide the domain name, and here it is in plain text. Doof. But anyway, this one is for this domain, there is a public-facing website, and it is, of course, proxied. And then this is FileMaker Server. Like these two are the public websites. And then I did testing with no proxy and proxy in order to compare, and I'm going to get back to that. And when you proxy them as well, then you get the same protection. So the API endpoints, yeah, when the domain name is here, you're going through the proxied service here, right?
One quick follow-up on the firewall, not getting into the firewalls at all, but if I would just restrict my firewall to accept connections from 1111 to that particular server in that network, it would not respond outside.
No, well, you can.
It would only respond to
yeah,
Cloudflare.
you cannot restrict that because Cloudflare has many different IP addresses, so you don't know which IP address hits your server. Yeah. That's a DNS service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Because
they could use it for their public website, but yeah.
Basically, because the issue could be that they just go for WebD, Web Direct URLs, and they find my IP address anyway.
They don't do.
They find the IP.
As long as it's proxied,
Yeah.
you are not exposing your real IP address.
Yeah, but still it lives in the internet.
Of course it does.
And
so I'm not saying that it's impossible.
Okay.
No,
That
but it's
makes
much
it clear.
harder. It's much harder.
That's why I'm going for the restriction to
Yeah,
IPs.
nothing stands alone here. It's like I said, you need to secure your FileMaker server. You need to secure your FileMaker solution. You need to apply firewalls rules, and you need to do other things as well. But this big space in between what you can control on your perimeter and on the client side and in between here, there's a big gap here that you cannot control.
Okay.
Right? And what I'm talking about here, is a way of mitigating that
risk.
Big risk that you have on the big internet.
Basically, what I tell people is basically it shows the attacker, you're putting the better Kaba lock on the door. It's not an easy lock.
Yeah.
That guy made protection.
Exactly. Nothing is impossible, and it's not like we can prevent all attacks, but we can reduce the risk.
Okay.
And this is about reducing the risks. Okay. I'm gonna move on, and then we have more questions afterwards, right? Because are there no trade-offs? That was what you are trying to get into. Yeah. Nothing is free, of course. Even though I said there was a free plan, nothing is free. So what are we paying with? The traffic flows through the Cloudflare network. And so there is a trade-off there. And why can we get this protection for free? Like for free without paying? The reason is that we are paying with not with the data, but with the traffic. Cloudflare is inspecting the packages, the data packages, not the content of the packages, but the packages. Just like your firewall is doing most of firewalls have stateful packages inspection and so on, where they inspect the packages in order to try to find out, is this part of a DDoS attack or is it a part of a network layer attack and so on. So Cloudflare is inspecting these packages, trying to determine whether they are part of an attack or not, and trying to learn patterns as well. So they are training their system on the data that we send through, right? So that's the cost that we are paying. They cannot see the data, nothing is being decrypted or decoded or anything, but our traffic flows through, and it has a value for Cloudflare in order to train their systems to become much better. The free plan allowed data packages up to 100 megabytes. And you can buy some paid plans that are raising that limit to more. And then you're thinking, 100 megabyte, that's not a lot. I have a 10 gigabyte database or 100 gigabyte database, or what are we actually talking about? And this is where it gets a little bit confusing, because all data is chopped up in data packages, right? I believe that the size is like 4K for the stuff that goes between FileMaker server and client. So what is this 100 megabyte, right? The good thing is that normal stuff we do with FileMaker, everything is chopped up into small bits, like 4K blocks, if I remember correctly. So we are never going to hit this 100 megabyte limits with using our FileMaker solution, like scrolling, searching, creating records, and so on normally. Where you can find that limit is uploading to containers. So say you have a lot of big files that are more than 100 megabytes that you need to upload into containers. Then you have a penalty to pay. Yes, that was the next point. I know it's a lot of text, but I know you can download the slides afterwards. I did a test where I uploaded a 520 megabyte file. Not a big file, but not a small file either. No, that was my 1 million. Didn't I wrote? No. I did a test with a 800 megabyte file, disk image file, and I did that with the proxy on and without the proxy on two different servers in order to compare. When I uploaded that file, it took like 1 minute to upload on the no proxy server using HTTPS tunneling, and 1 minute is that long or short, you know. Just for comparison, it took like 2.5 minutes when the proxy was on, when the file was more than 100 megabytes. When I uploaded files that were up to 100 megabytes, 99 megabytes, they went up just as fast on either of these connections, with proxy or no proxy. I could not find any difference saying, oh yeah, this is the slow one that goes through Cloudflare. Which I think is pretty interesting, because you would expect that you have a performance penalty when the data flows through Cloudflare. But in reality, it's hard to detect that there is a real difference. But unless you have a lot of bigger files than 100 megabytes, or you're paying Cloudflare to have bigger files uploaded as well. That limit on the 100 megabyte is also applicable on if you have a PHP uploads website where you upload a file. That will also be limiting. I think it's not even possible. With FileMaker, it does go through. It's not going to be chopped off because it was more than 100 megabytes. It just takes some longer time, right? Okay. So, microphone. Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how you cannot have some impact on the performance, because if you go through a proxy, that means you increase the latency.
Yeah.
So the latency will...
Yeah.
The latency
will.
is really important with FileMaker because
It is. It is.
it's
You-
not the
you-
size, the amount of data which is
And you're
going through a proxy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I did not measure the performance here. That's very important to say. I did not measure so I don't have, and that was for a real, that was a choice I made to not do that, because you can measure something and sure there will be some difference. There has to be, right? But I wanted to feel, how is it to work in a FileMaker solution? Well, how does it feel really? Do I feel that penalty? Because there has to be a penalty. I totally agree with you. And then again, there's something that is different here. I'm going to get back to that actually now. Cloudflare has a feature called Argo, which is a it's a feature to optimize the traffic. So the point is that Cloudflare is spread out all over the world. So the point is that if you're sitting in Brazil and your client is going to go there and you have to end up in Frankfurt, right? If you take the normal route, it will be to some ISP in Brazil that goes to a lot of different hubs until it ends finally in Frankfurt, right? So maybe 50 hubs, just a number, right? It can be more, it can be less, whatever. When you're using the Cloudflare, because they have such a big network spread out all over the world, one of the first hubs that you're hitting is Cloudflare. So in Brazil, you're hitting Cloudflare's network, right? And because they know the exact route here, you, on the free plan, you are getting somewhere along. Maybe it's actually faster than taking the outside road, and sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. It's one of those things that we cannot control. But turning on that Argo feature, or Ago, sorry, I can't remember the exact name, it's easy to find. It will automatically find the best route through Cloudflare's network, because we are not able to control all the hubs that normal internet traffic goes through. But when it gets into Cloudflare's network, they have control over what happens inside their network. And this is a paid feature. It costs like $5 a month, and then like 10 cents per gigabyte of traffic or something like that. So maybe 10 or 15 or 20 bucks in order to get the best route. I have seen people who has seen an optimization of 5 times better latency than going the other routes by using that feature. So that's why I'm saying, is there a penalty? Is there greater latency? Well, that depends. This feature can actually decrease your latency, which sounds like, how really is that possible? But it's possible because Cloudflare is controlling their own network, and with this feature, they are giving you a way, yes, it's a paid feature, but they are giving you a way of getting the optimized route every time. And from other people that are using this feature, they see a 5 times increase in performance by using this feature, which I think is pretty cool, right? It's a paid feature, of course, but by using Cloudflare and this proxy feature, we are getting protection from network layer attacks that is normally difficult to mitigate against on our own premise. No matter if we're using Amazon or DigitalOcean or on-premise server or whatever. It's difficult. It's not that these big providers, they have things in place in order to try to mitigate, right? But we can do something ourselves as well with this. And then there's the big internet that we cannot control. And that's on purpose that we cannot control this. This is how it was designed. So you cannot take down the internet. Sometimes it feels like all of the internet is down, right? But actually it's not. But now we actually get a way of trying to control that, because they have the network spread all over. And they know when a client connects to them, where is the best route, both into their network, what is the closest hub to the client, and so on. And the client is a FileMaker client, but it could also be a data API client, or OData client, or WebDirect clients, right? So these are all types of clients. So they all benefit from it. The new thing here is not this feature or this company. They are pretty old. The new thing is that now we can use native FileMaker protocol client server with Pro and Go and use this feature, because now we have HTTPS tunneling. And then actually, if you're working with bigger companies, they are not keen on opening port 5003. I know I've had long process in order to get allowance for port 5003, because it's something they don't know. But 443, the SSL or HTTPS port, of course it's open, because we know that. And they have their own things in place in order to try to protect on that one. All right. So I'm gonna do a recap here, so we have time enough. Yes, security is important, and I talked about the DDoS attacks and network layer attacks, and this is really happening, and it's not hard, and it's not expensive. It's actually more cheap than buying a pizza, and just as easy. The FileMaker platform has this HTTP tunneling feature that we can use along with a proxy service such as Cloudflare. I'm talking about Cloudflare, but it's not that they are the only one you can go to. We went through a step-by-step on how to set this up. Even though everyone was asleep, I don't think anyone was complaining it was hard to set up, right? Nothing is free. There is a trade-off. But unless you have a lot of big files that needs to go into container fields, maybe you never experience this. And I mean, if you have a big file once in a while, maybe you can live with a longer time of uploading that to the container field, I guess. Right, and then we are into the Q&A, if someone has more questions. And just before the questions, I just want to say that there are possible alternatives to Cloudflare. I have not researched these, but I have just poked around, and it looks like all of these have something that can be an alternative to Cloudflare. It's just that the Cloudflare route was enormously easy, and it is a trusted company that has been around for a long time, and they have the IP address 11111. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that when your server is behind that proxy, the Cloudflare provide the full list of their own IPs. So you can just whitelist in your firewall all the IPs from Cloudflare and reject everything else. So you ensure that all the traffic will always come from Cloudflare and be filtered.
True, and then you have even better security. Yeah, that's true, and a very good thing to do, because then no one can get to your server directly. It's not that normally it's not impossible, but it's much harder when you don't know the real IP address, right? Yeah.
If you have an on-premise server, can you and you activate the HTTPS tunneling? Can you easily combine your LAN traffic with the traffic that comes from the internet?
Yeah, so your question is on-premise server in your office where you also have local area network access. No problem at all, because your internal traffic from the office goes directly, it does not go through the proxy, it goes directly. You can still use the HTTPS tunneling, but actually the FileMaker server, as it is today, when you turn on HTTPS tunneling, you can still use port 5003 for clients. Maybe it will be disabled in the future, but for backwards compatibility, it's still enabled. So you actually have two open pipes here, which is also important to realize. When you go through the proxy, nothing gets, unless you have the direct IP address, nothing goes directly to through 5003, because Cloudflare is not by default supporting that port, right? Yep.
Oh, you answered my question.
Okay, good. And one of the good things here about doing this is that this works for on-premise server. It works if you are going with Romain service, Roman, sorry, with the FM Cloud, right? You can do it if you're using Amazon. You can do it anywhere, right? It's an extra layer of protection, and everyone can add this one. You're not required to, and you're not required to, where is your server? Well, wherever you think is best for you, right? That's one of the things I like about this feature and this way of mitigating the risk, right? Yes?
Yes, I was connecting to the question this gentleman asked about whitelisting. I should assume that there would be a lot of addresses, but it seems not to be true. It's just a small amount.
Yeah, there's lots of IP range, as you can see on that page here.
Yeah.
They also provide an API that you can just script it. Automatically adjust your firewall rules to only use those IP addresses.
Yeah,
there's definitely a quite a big list.
Yeah. There is a big list, but it's not individual IP addresses. It's a range of IP addresses, right? Yeah. So it's not too hard to put in, but you have to enter if you want to shut down everything else than Cloudflare traffic. Sure. Yeah. One other thing is like, so what if we shut down everything so it's only port 443, because now it's what goes proxied, right? And we turn off all other access on our firewall. What about the Let's Encrypt SSL certificates? The new feature in FileMaker Server is now a switch on feature where port 80 needs to be open for Let's Encrypt in order to verify that your server is who they say they are, and so on. But there is an alternative way of using the Let's Encrypt, and that's by using a script where, well, there's at least two different ways, right? Two. There's another way where you need to do something with the DNS. And Cloudflare has an API where you can make changes to the DNS through that API, meaning that Wim has a script that is published on his website, not his, on Soliant's website, where you can download that and modify, and then you can utilize the API and request the certificate that way, where the validation is not on the server itself, but on the DNS level. Right? So that's another thing where Cloudflare can be used as well, because it has an API, like Amazon has an API and some others. But if you have a local small shop DNS provider, they might not have an API, or not an API that is supported by the Let's Encrypt bot. But then you can, of course, buy an SSL certificate. Okay, sorry, I'm going to stop talking. There was another question, or no? No? No more questions?
I have one.
Yeah?
Thank you for the presentation, but I was wondering, my assumption would be that if you have the HTTPS tunneling enabled, and through Cloudflare or
Another one.
Akamai or another one. What about Claris Connect? And my assumption would be that Claris Connect is, of course, using OData and the data API, so it will not break. And what about shadow tables from Claris Studio into FileMaker? Will they not break?
No. And I say this without testing, but I'm very sure because it's using your domain name, right? So it's using your domain name, it's just being proxied. And Claris Connect and Claris Studio, as far as, to my knowledge, is a standard HTTP request. So I don't even think they are using WebSockets and they are not using other technology. So they should work, at least. Not tested it, but I cannot imagine that it would be a problem whatsoever. If you have a MySQL server or something that runs on a different port, you need to have a subdomain for that that is not proxied. And then hopefully not on the same server as your FileMaker server, because then you have exposed the IP address, right? Which takes a bit of the points away, right? Okay. How many of you are thinking about maybe this is something I should go home and dig into? Yeah? Okay, great. Interesting. It should be easy enough so everyone can get in. So, no further questions? We finished even before time. You're always welcome to contact me. And that's it. Thank you.